What's up, y'all? It's TruthTiger, and I'm going to tell you that when haters get mad at you, don't give them a reaction. Do not be dragged down to their level. When they come at you with conflict and anger and they're upset about something, they're trying to drag you into an argument, don't get dragged down into that argument. The thing about that, when you get pulled down into that anger, into that emotional state, into that negativity, you literally lose your head. You lose your ability to see things logically. You lose sight of what's really important. You lose sight of what's really going on, and you just get pulled into this angry battle. And they want to pull you down there because when you're down there, you lose your ability to logically reason and you're just dragged down to their level. So when a hater gets mad at you or is upset about something, just stay calm, stay relaxed, don't take it too seriously. Don't get all mad and upset and huffy. You also don't want to carry that anger around with you because now you're in a bad mood, you're in a bad state. You're going to have that cloud of darkness now hanging over you because you're so mad at somebody. So don't be too mad at them. Don't be too upset with them. When they come at you with some hater stuff, just be like, I don't really see it that way. I don't know where you're coming from. I don't know what's going on. I don't feel that way. I don't know why you're so upset. Just kind of say stuff like that to kind of de-escalate it. You know, don't be agreeing with them or giving them an apology when you did nothing wrong. Don't do that, but just kind of stay calm, stay cool, and let them be upset. Let them have all the anger. Let all the anger and upsetness be theirs. Don't carry that around with you. Just be like, all right, you're mad? Okay, whatever. I don't know why you really feel that way. I'm going to try to think this through logically, figure out what's going on. I don't really know why you're upset, you know. Just have a calm approach to that. Like, don't be getting dragged down into the argument, yelling back, shouting back. How could you say that about me? You know. And sometimes you're not even dealing with a hater. A lot of times there's miscommunications or stuff like that does happen. Sometimes that's all that's going on. And, you know, if it is just a miscommunication, you don't want to be getting all mad and huffy and dragged down into an argument over that. Just be like, hey, I don't know, I heard this, you heard something different, let's try to figure out what's going on, you know? And just try to have a chill, solution-oriented approach to what they're doing. And if they're truly a hater that's just trying to get a rise out of you, be jealous of you, cause problems for you, throw a stumbling block in your path, whatever, just don't give them the satisfaction. Because a lot of these haters, they want you to argue back, be in a low state, be mad, be angry, be upset. They want you to be like that. And when you're just like, that's not a nice thing to say to me, or, you know, I don't see it that way. Or you could also just be like, hey, like, I don't want to go there. Like, people want to argue about politics and all this stuff. Just be like, look, I don't really want to go there. I hope you can respect that. You know, see ya. And if they can't and they're all mad, let them look stupid. Let them act stupid. Let them rage out and freak out and go, ah. And just don't let it affect you. Because I didn't used to be as strong as I was now. And I used to let stuff get to me. I wanted people to like me. I wanted everything to be cool with everybody to be happy. And I realized, like, that's not realistic. Everyone's not going to like me. Everyone's not always going to be happy. There's going to be conflict. There is evil out there. You know, there's negativity out there. And all I really got to do is just block it out from myself. Stand up, say no when I have to, and just, you know, have my armor on. And I don't need to be all hot and angry and upset and bothered and frustrated and pissed off like they are. I don't need to be in that state of consciousness. I don't need to be in that state of mind. I can just keep my head on straight, stay chill, stay relaxed, and just be calm. And it's funny, when they're truly a hater trying to get a rise out of you, man, they'll start to freak out even more. When you're not angry, they'll get more angry, and they'll act more crazy and more stupid while you're just chilling, being calm, relaxing while this person's making a fool of himself and freaking the flip out, you know? That's what's going to happen. And if they want to hit you with some passive-aggressive stuff or criticize you about something or do something to try to get you to snap at them, you know, they want to poke at you a little bit, just be like, hey, you know, I don't know how that happened. I don't know who forgot to put the dishes in the sink. Not sure how that one happened. We'll try to do better, you know. Just like say stuff like that to them. And I've had some of them like stare at me all angry when I do that. They're like looking at me like, how could you respond to me like that? And the thing is, a lot of these fights and battles come down to control. when you know what's going on and you have an expectation for something, or maybe it's a work thing, your manager tells them to tell them this or that, or it's your own personal life, you got a standard for how you want to do things. When you sort of show authority and lay it down and be like, hey, like, what we got going on here isn't good, we should try to fix this, get this better, then you're how dare you criticize me? How dare you say that about me? How dare you imply that I could have made a mistake, whatever. And they start to freak out and be like, well, it could have been you, maybe not, but honestly, it looks like it probably was. So, yeah, you might have made a mistake there. Just say something like that. And it's just like, just have that kind of language where you're not getting mad, you're not getting upset, you're not freaking out, you're not joining in on that, you're not yelling back at them like, you did it, you screwed everything up. You're not like doing that, because they want that shouting match. They want that kind of anger and stuff. And the thing for a lot of these people also, they think they're the boss of everybody and that they're in charge all the time. They're just delusional. They're not humble. They have a bad sense of who they are. So they think like the whole world revolves around them. And if you were to criticize them about anything, even if it's valid, or, you were to, speak up on something they're doing that you don't like, or you're just in a situation where, you're more the leader and you're telling them like, hey, we got to do this. Whatever it is, it's like they're going to feel like belittled even when you're not trying to do that. They're going to feel like you're bossing them around even when you're not trying to do that. They're going to take it the wrong way no matter what. So just tell them what you got to tell them. Don't be like coming in like, I got to be so nice because I don't want them to think I'm bossing them around. Just come straight forward. Be like, hey, here it is. And if they freak out and can't deal with it, that's on them. Just be like, all right, you can feel how you want to feel about it. Whatever, And when you're that kind of stone, you're a rock, you're like, I don't care how much of a temper tantrum you throw. I don't care how much you freak out emotionally because you can't control yourself. I don't care how insecure you are that you take everything as a slight. I don't care how arrogant and egotistical you are that you think you're the king of everything when you're just some loser, which is honestly generally the case. I don't care about your inflated sense of self-importance. This is what it is. Deal with it. And when you have that attitude and you're just not going to go there with them and they try to say all this stuff back to you and you're like, I stand by what I said. This is what's going on. This is what it is, And when you just don't like interact with them on that level, you're not going to be that low with them. They'll just internally like implode on themselves, and they'll freak out and act stupid and have temper tantrums. And it's like, all right, you can have that temper tantrum. I'm not going to take part in that. I'm not going to be about that. And similarly, when they try to confront you about stuff, or they maybe try to boss you around when that's not their position to do so, or they try to push something on you, or they try to overreact on something, or they try to get up in your face or get up in your grill, just be like, hey, I think you're maybe overstepping your authority, your boundaries a little bit here. I think you're stepping over a bit. I would appreciate it if you would maybe step back a bit and not boss me around, That'd be cool. And when you can articulate it in a logical, sharp way, man, it's like they can't really do much about it. Or if you leave one dish in the sink and they're freaking out, how you're leaving these dishes in the sink, just be like, I forgot about that fork I left in the sink. I'll try to do it next time, but at the same time, this is not that big of a deal. You leave dishes in the sink too. We all do. We all make small mistakes. Not worth freaking out about. Not a big deal. And when you can do that with them and just be calm and de-escalate, even when they're freaking out because you're so strong with who you are, there's nothing they can do. They just kind of walk away defeated. They walk away defeated with this stuff, And that's what you got to do. Just keep your armor on, stay strong, and just don't get sucked into it. Don't get dragged into it. All their anger and rage that they have, just stay chill, stay calm, and don't interact with them on that level. Let them rage and freak out. You're chilling, you're staying calm. You're not going there. You're not taking the bait. Because sometimes they'll try to say something that they know is specifically going to upset you. Maybe you had a personal situation going on with a friend or with a romantic relationship, and maybe they'll bring it up in a lot of narcissists will do this. They'll bring it up in a way that's like gonna really upset you, It's kind of tough to describe it. They call it dog whistling, but it could be that maybe you and them had a problem about, putting dishes in the sink. I'm using dishes in the sink a lot. I like it, and it was a conflict and an argument. And they'll bring it up in a group of people and be like, so you remember to do the dishes this time, expecting you to trip out. But instead, you're just like, we'll discuss that. We'll figure that one out, Or maybe you had a bad breakup, and they'll say, so how's so-and-so doing? And you're like, that didn't work out, unfortunately, but that situation is what that is. When you can give them these gray rock kind of answers and just not give them a reaction, like, so what happened? Why'd you break up? How come it didn't work out? And when you're just like, what? It's an emotionally hurtful situation for myself. I'm still kind of hurting from it, so I prefer not to discuss it too much for me and for their sake. So, I'm just going to table that topic for a while. When you can just say stuff like that, and just you're in control, you're operating, you're not being pulled down to the emotional level, you got your mind up here, you're captaining, you're in control of yourself, and they can't cause you to lose control of yourself and to emotionally break down and get angry and get upset and meet them on their level. They walk away defeated with their tails between their legs because their dumb little plan to get you to emotionally react didn't work. I used to emotionally react to this stuff. If we had a big discussion about who was doing the dishes and it was a big fight and conflict, they'd bring it up in public. I would snap back and I'd be like, hey, we talked about that yesterday. I don't want you bringing this up. And then they look good and stuff. But now I would just be like, we had kind of a discussion. Things got off the rail. Tempers were flaring. I'd prefer not to go back to that right now, And then when you say that and they try to get you to freak out in a crowd and you just say that back, a lot of times they'll freak out. They'll get angry. They'll trip out. They'll look stupid. So I'm telling you, just be in control of your emotions. Be relaxed. Be chill. Don't let them drag you into fights and arguments. Even with hater comments I get here, I just don't respond to them. I'm not going to let some people upset me. I'm not going to let these people get me upset. Whatever it is they do, people could disclude you from things, leave you out of things, reject you from things. We're just like, all right, I'm going to do my own thing, not too bothered by it, whatever. And when you can truly have that attitude, it's not a fake, it's not a front, you're not just pretending, you're truly you truly really don't care about their freak out or whatever passive aggressive thing they're trying to do to you, you're just chill, you're like, whatever. You hold all the power and they have none of it because they're in this out of control emotional state. And you're in your mind, strong, in control, and just staying steady, not letting them get to you. So yeah, the gist of this video is just if people get upset with you or try to drag you into arguments or are disrespectful to you or you're trying to tell them something, they're not listening to you, don't react to it. If you're trying to tell them something, they're not listening, just be like, well, I don't really think you're hearing what I'm saying. I'm trying to get this through to you, but you don't want to listen to what I'm saying. That's your choice. I already told it to you. Bye-bye. When you can have that response toward every single one of these scenarios where you're just like, hey, I'm trying to get this across to you. We're not getting it across. I'll see what I can figure out here. I'll see what I can do. And a lot of times it will honestly intimidate people. It will intimidate people and it will freak people out. When you're just like, well, I'll just kind of look over this, see what I can do, see what we can figure out here. I've had a lot of stuff where people have gotten mad at me and I've been like, well, I'll talk to my people. You can talk to your people, especially with work things. When someone's being mad about a work thing and I'm just like, all right, you'll talk to your people. I'll talk to my people. We'll figure out what's going on. And then all of a sudden it's like they're willing to help me, because when you're not going to get angry with them and meet them on their level, man, you hold all the power. And I'll also say this, that we're all human. Nobody's perfect. I get angry sometimes. We all have long days, rough days, whatever, stress and stuff like that. So sometimes things are just miscommunications. I've had stuff in life where it literally was a miscommunication. So try to find the difference between when it's a hater trying to get you and criticize you and jump on you and cause problems with you out of nowhere, and when it is just a miscommunication. Because if it's a miscommunication, just stay calm, stay chill, it'll get resolved, But if it's a hater, realize that they're messing with you and they're out to get you. But whatever it is, hater or miscommunication, just stay calm, stay chill. You'll figure out what's going on and don't get caught up on it. Also, don't stay calm, but then walk away and be mad about it. Truly be chill about it. Truly be not tripping about it. So yeah, I'm going to end this video here. Thank you all so much for watching. Much love, God bless, and I will see you all next time.